Today's video I'm going to put the front bumper, which I got sitting right here, back on the Galaxie. I got a blanket so I don't scratch it. I'm going to use my old school crank jack to put the bumper in place after I put all the brackets on the chassis of the car. And I'm going to go through this carburetor. I got another carb kit here, and I'm going to go through this carburetor to figure out what was blocked up in it or what's causing the engine performance issue. Something's got to be clogged up in it still. And I don't know if it's a secondary idle circuit. I didn't realize the secondaries had an idle circuit. Most don't. So if it's running lean because of that, yeah, that could cause it to. Actually, it was surging about 50. You could just very faintly. Passengers, Jeremy riding in the car, he couldn't feel it. But driving the car, I could feel it. And it was very slight, but it was there and it annoyed me. And it doesn't do it anymore. But I think that we're going to look at the secondary idle circuit first. But that'll be in the winter. I'll go through this come winter. It's going to sit. I got too many other things I got to do. I got some license plate fasteners for the new they go snap into these holes right here, and I'm putting new ones on the rear too. The old ones are still in the rear. And so anyway, I got a couple presents. Let's see what's in them. I suspect I know it's in this because of the name there. I suspect these are the top cylinders. And if they are, I want to put them on before I take the car in for a new top. Yes, that's what these are. These are brand new. Made in the USA, too. Yeah, I didn't want to put Chinese garbage on this beautiful old 66 Galaxie. So I'm going to put these on, like I say, before it gets the convertible top installed. I have no clue what this is. This is going to be a surprise. So this is truly like Christmas. We're going to open up. It's from Auto Parts Galaxie. Oh, it's a new. I complained to him. I complained about the parts washer. I got a new brush from him for the parts washer, and the first time I used it, the bristles started falling out everywhere in the tank, and I mean half the brush came out first use. And I told them they're doing a disservice to their customers selling garbage. And since I bought a new brush, and it's been in there for a while and working good now, but this hose I don't use because mine has a hose in there, a really good quality one. But I'm going to just set this aside and for the future, but I have a feeling it's probably not any better quality than the previous brush. I do have a parts washer up north at the cottage. Maybe I'll take it up there and put it in that one. And it's a smaller parts washer than the one I have here. We use it to clean like stuff for the quads and the motorcycles that we ride off-road up there. But anyway, they were decent enough at least to send me another one. I didn't expect a refund or anything. I just emailed them and told them I thought that their product was really poor quality. So anyway, we got another one here, and that explains the quality. All that stuff that was piled up on my bench, most of it was parts for the Galaxie. It was just in my way. I couldn't use my bench. It was kind of an albatross. It's all in the trunk of the Galaxie now, along with a lot of the trim bits. So that's what you heard rattling around when I was out driving the car yesterday. I am going to start it cold today to see how the choke works, and maybe I'll do that. I'm going to put the bumper on first, then I'll do that, because I might take it for a ride after I put the bumper on. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and put some oil in all the bolt holes. I'll show you, but I'm going to use this. This was out of my dad's oil can collection. He has a collection of oil cans, and he had, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these, and this one had a little dent. He has another one that was like brand new. But I asked him if I could have this. I was going to put automatic transmission fluid in it for the convertible top pump to fill it because it's kind of an awkward way to fill it. But I had 2 other pump oil squirt cans, and I used one of the other ones because I really have to say I love that tip for like oiling threads and doing things, and really a good quality oil can. I can say nothing bad about it. You pull the trigger a little bit, you get a little oil right away. Some of those other ones, you got to pump them a couple times before you get oil to the tip, and then you get oil everywhere. And anyway, yeah, really good quality oil squirt can, and probably that has a lot to do with it right there. And so I'm going to get around in here, and I don't know, I might jack up the car and take the front tires off. I might not. If I do, I'll put those rubber flaps in the inner fenders. But all these little clips are what hold the nuts in place for the bumper bolts. And I just put oil in them because it just makes it easier to put together. Makes it easier if you got to loosen things up and adjust it. And there's bolts and nuts too, and there's like a cam bolt that goes in here, so I'll put a little smear of grease around in there. And we're gonna get the brackets on first, I think, and then I'll put the bumper up to the brackets and start the bolts. I gotta find all the chrome bolts. I got the bolts for the brackets, but I bought new bolts to go in the bumper too, so I gotta dig them up. There's a view of the underside. Yeah, there is a Fram oil filter on there right now. It's going to get a Motorcraft when I do the next oil change. And I'm going to paint it gold. And I'm going to put that sheet magnet thing around it with the original type of decal on it, so I can move it from filter. You know, I'll probably change the oil in this once a year. And that's how often I do it in that car for the amount of miles I put on it. It's just... This year I don't even think it'll have 1,000 miles on the oil when I change it, but I always change the oil in them in the fall, so when they sit over the winter they have clean oil in them, so you don't have any contaminants in the oil that can damage the bearings or cam lobes or any surfaces in the engine. I always make sure I have spotlessly clean oil for winter storage. Yeah, I know the light isn't that good under here, but I'm just putting a little oil on these and yeah, a little extra's running out, but that won't matter. It's under the car and I'll wipe it up when I'm done. And I don't think there's not a bolt there. This holds these brackets on. And I took those brackets off and bead blasted them and painted them too for the sway control. These are those cam bolts I was talking about right here that I'm going to grease those up really good. So when so you can turn them to move the brackets so the bumper sits on there nice and straight. There's the business cards to the blader. Yeah, they did a nice job. They do good work there. I'd highly recommend them. If you take something there, tell them Howard with the '66 Galaxie from Old Car Alley sent you there. First thing I'm doing is getting all the brackets just laid out here to, so I know where they go and all their respective hardware. And now I'm going to start attaching to the brackets of the chassis, and then I'm going to put the bumper up. And I left these are the original bolts, and I just painted them because I wasn't reusing them, but I wanted to keep these in place where they were because this is the original bumper, and these shims will probably still be needed exactly where they were. And when I even put the rear bumper on, the replacement rear bumper, the original's in that box, and all the same shims, same spots to get it to line up good. So it just was good. I just like to do things like that so I don't have to sit there and spend extra time figuring out what needs to be shimmed and what doesn't. I use this quite a bit. This is what I'm going to put around the collar and on this bolt. This is where that cam bolt goes in, so that way you can kind of adjust this up and down just by turning this bolt we'll move that up and down. So that's why I wanted to kind of lube it up, and I was kind of liberal with grease on the threads too. So I'm going to see which way this was in originally by looking at where the nut was on the other side here, and this was on the other side, and we'll be able to see clearly where that was because it's a clean area, and it looks like I need to turn the bolt to face the front because it's cleaner up towards the front than the rear. So let me flip that around. I have the brackets attached, and I just have them a little more than finger tight, so I can, well, this one you move with put a wrench on that, and then you can move the bracket up and down. Does that show up? So I'm just going to leave them all kind of a little bit more than finger tight until I get the bumper in place, and then I'll get the bumper bolted up. In the meantime, I'm going to get all this stuff off and get the new bolts out so I can start getting the bumper bolted up. Well, I just spent the last probably 45 minutes anyway looking for the bumper bolts. I found one package. I have 2 packages of these, and yeah, I need to find the other package, and I don't know, I might have to just clean up 4 of the original bolts, and then when I get another package of them I'll change them. But I looked in the trunk where I put a lot of the stuff. I have a lot of stuff over here. I looked through all this stuff, and yeah, just don't know where they've become. And this is where I had them. See, front bumper, and I had those bolts sitting in here. But anyway, we're gonna find the 4 best, buff them up, and put them on until I get a new set. Oops, I just dropped one of them out. There it is. It's down here by the bumper jack. So anyway, we're gonna have to sacrifice until I can get another package of new bolts, and if these ones buff up nice, who knows, maybe I won't need to get new ones. And I had somebody, one of my viewers, send me these, and they're just the coolest packaging. They're 2-sided tape adhesive, and I might put them up there. Have this little, need to build a shelf or somewhere to put this stuff, but I got all this, you know, I just kind of like to save neat old package stuff. I mean, look at these old, I got these in an estate sale. Look at that, Kmart, 57 cents, number 57, 12 volt. I just like that kind of stuff, so, you know, I mean, it just looks kind of neat. So I might make something up to put old stuff like that on in the garage here. Put a wax on that and it'll really shine. That probably shines better than the reproductions or new ones. This is the repop, and yeah, it totally looks better. I might just buff these ones too. Alright, I'm going to buff bolts. Take 2, I had the camera in the wrong mode. So you can see the reproduction bumper bolts and the original bumper bolts are slightly different size. And I don't want 2 different size bolts showing holding the bumper on. And I was buffing the original bolts and the reproductions, but there's a tiny little mark in the bolt right there, and one of them, this one, you can see a little mark right there. These are the rear bumper bolts. The front bumper bolts are still in the brackets. But I took one of the bumper bolts out, and I'm going to clean the paint off and buff it, and I'm going to take them all out actually, and they're all still in the brackets here. And I did that so I would remember where these were. The rear ones, I think I wrote on them, but I guess the rear ones I left 2 out because it fit better like that. And so I'm going to take those all out. I'll just tape the shims where they are and clean the paint off them with a little bit of paint stripper. We'll have that paint off in a couple seconds. I'm going to buff them, and I'm going to use 8 of the best bolts. I think I'm going to try and stick with the originals. I actually like the style of the original bolt better. They're just a nicer looking. They don't bulge up as high, and they're just slightly bigger around. They're just a little different, and I just like them better. So I'm going to take 8 of them. It's going to take me an extra, couple hours by the time I clean them all up and buff them all out. But at the end of the day, I think it'll look better. I sorted the bumper bolts out. These are the reproductions. These are the 2 good, really nice bumper bolts that were off the rear bumper. These ones here, they're usable. Like I could put them underneath where you don't see them. So those are acceptable. These are the ones I need to strip the paint off and buff. This one doesn't look like it's going to be reusable. And as I remember, one of the bottom ones was missing. And as I remember, these were just like a regular non-chrome plated bolt. You can see the kind of messed up thread. So that one will probably not waste my time cleaning the paint off to buff, because that's not going to be reusable. I think the other one broke when I took it out. There's 2 bolts on the bottom front brackets right down here, and I think the one on that side broke, and that really nasty one was here because the front tire would throw all the stuff up in there. So that's why that bolt's kind of messed up, but we'll get some nice bolts buffed up and in there. Another thing I'm going to do if I'm reusing these bolts is run them all through a die, clean up the threads so that they thread nicely back together, and I'll run a tap through the nuts. But this will make life a lot easier bolting the bumper on. I'll just be able to run the nuts up with my fingers instead of having to try and finagle a wrench in there. So I'm going to do this to all the bolts for the bumper. Yeah, that'll make life easier, won't it? So I got 6 more. So let me get cracking. Lacquer thinner works as a great paint stripper too. Any enamels, if you ever try to paint lacquer over enamel, it always lifts enamel. So if you want to strip enamel off something, a little lacquer thinner is a miracle worker there. Yeah, I use reused lacquer thinner, so the old stuff I've cleaned spray guns and done stuff like this goes back. This I'll put back in the can less the chunkies in there, and I can reuse it. So this is the lacquer thinner. Like I say, I've cleaned spray guns. You can see metallic in there floating around, but it just saves some money reusing it. Trying to get enough good bolts here. This one I've been sanding on it, so maybe with the sanding you can see the marks in it. So I'm going to try and sand some of the marks out. These are enough to where these are going to be the bottom bolts. They have enough marks in them to, you'd got to look to see them. These ones polished up pretty good, so I want one more really nice one for the top and then one more for the bottom, and I'll make them all as nice as I can. But some of these would be more work than they're worth because they face down, you don't even see them. Well, 2 hours of work later, I got bumper bolts. So these were the original bolts to the rear bumper. These were the original bolts to the front bumper minus one that was broken, and you can see these ones were pitted and they don't look like they had a stainless steel cap on them, and these would have been the bolts on the underside of the bumper where you don't see. These bumper bolts here, that's when that one I sanded. I sanded it with 320, then I sanded it with 400, and then 600, and then 1200, and I'm lazy and I didn't go any finer than that, and then I buffed it. So all those imperfections came out. So all 4 of these bumpers will go in the face that you see. These ones I won't use. These are the original bumper bolts from the rear bumper. So you can see they had a, that's from I think the U-Haul trailer hitch, and it messed up all the bolts because they clamped it on probably where the bolts were. But these bolts are going to be underneath, replacing these ones. Whoops, these ones. So they'll look good. And I was going to sand them out, and I thought, what's the point? It's a lot of work for bolts that you can't see anyway. So those are going on the bottom of the bumper. These are going on the top where you see. And these will go in my parts drawers. These will go in my parts drawers. I'll use these nuts. These were off the rear bumper, and these I won't be using. I used them on the rear bumper because, you know, this was my option. And so I did have to use them on the rear. I'm not really ultra mad about them. I did buff the ones that go on the rear bumper before I put them on, much like I did these ones too. These are lock nuts, so I'm not going to run a tap through them, and they're in really good shape. You can see the threads in them are still kind of shiny metal color, so I'll just put some oil on them and reuse them. But I did run a die on all the bolts. I got to do this by myself, don't have any help right now. Using the 2 best bolts out here on the ends. Alright, I'm just kind of sitting there. I'm going to get all the bolts started, and then I'm going to line it up. So let me get all the bolts started. It's just sitting on there. All the bolts are still loose, so I'm going to just use this and that other wrench there to tighten the bumper, and then I'll line the bumper up with the brackets. The brackets are just, you know, like I say, a little more than finger tight. And I'm not going to video tightening bolts. Alright, I got all the bumper bolts tight, and I was just putting this on this cam bolt, and what this does is, see how it raises and lowers the bumper? There it actually is hitting the valance, the bracket. So I don't want it hitting the valance. I think I'm going to put it down just a little bit from the valance, and I'm going to try and do them both even. Whoops, wrench goes on this side over here. Can't see where I'm going with the wrench. Okay, right there. And then I can see how it's hitting the balance. So I'll just get a measuring stick out and like measure between here and here or something, or between here and here. I don't know. I'll just measure all across and try and get it level with everything, so everything's fairly square. I would say that's pretty good. I ended up just eyeballing it. I measured it, but yeah, it looks better just eyeballing it, just kind of getting all everything kind of where it belongs. So I'll put this license plate bracket on, and then we'll put a coat of wax on the bumper, get all my greasy smudgies off of it, and then we'll crank that cold engine up, see how the choke works, and go for a ride. And the license plate bracket's on, so I'm going to throw the plate on, and then it's finished. So I'll give you kind of a close-up of these bumper bolts. Came a little wax around the edge of it. I guess I need to get my rag and wipe it, but boy, look at my reflection in the camera. Yeah, that it's the garage wall even. It's really nice. And I can see why Ford painted that panel silver. That makes a big difference in appearance. And the underneath, hopefully there's enough light. All the brackets. Well, not a lot, but anyway, take my word for it. It looks absolutely amazing even underneath. I'll turn it this way, but I can't see what it's videoing. And hopefully something turns out. But yeah, the bumper is stellar. So I'm gonna let me see if I can use that as a mirror. Get my big fat cello head in here and get the camera off to the side. All right, so I'm gonna crank it up cold and see if the choke is all adjusted right. I got my tool handy here in case if I need to adjust it. I like to do, after I set up a carburetor like that, like do a cold start the next day, and if I need to tweak it, if it's running too rich or too lean on the choke valve, I don't want it to sit there and lope and load up, and I don't want it to run so lean I can't throw it in gear and step on the accelerator and have it respond. These cars originally, you could get them in them when they're new. Hit the gas pedal to the floor once, turn the key, light the engine should light right up, throw it in gear and go. Not have any hesitations or issues. And that's the way this car is. That's the way the Catalina was. All my past cars, I set them up to where you can start them dead cold and go immediately. And that's what I want to do with the Galaxie. So I am gonna light it up here in a minute. I gotta go and get the keys. And then we'll crank it up and see how it runs, and I'll put it in gear in reverse or whatever, and just step on the gas a bit to make sure if it doesn't hesitate, then I'll move some vehicles out in the driveway and we'll take it out for a drive. How's that sound? If I need to tweak the carburetor, I will, and then I will restart it cold again tomorrow and see how it does, and if it's good, good. If not, I'll play with it and then restart it again the next day cold. So that's kind of the way I am. I always like to let them sit overnight and then restart them and see how they start cold. Just letting them sit for a day or something, you got to let them sit overnight. And sometimes they even sit a few days or a week. But anyway, I'm gonna go get the keys and we'll crank it up and go for a ride. The engine is cold. Let's see how it starts. Once to the floor and back up. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's see if all right, I'm happy with it. I think it'll be fine. So I'm gonna move the car and let's go for a ride. It's the 12th of September and there's absolutely lots of cars out cruising. Old Ford pickup ahead of me right now. So yeah, the choke I think is perfect. I did slow the fast idle speed down. 1500 on the second step seemed a little excessive, so I turned it down to about where I like it. Beautiful Lincoln convertible there. Well, nice evening too. I might take a lap or two. Runs like a dream. Drives like a brand new car. I really like driving this car. This thing just likes to cruise, man. Just smooths out at 60. This thing's going to be great for road trips. The idle's so smooth you can't even tell the engine's running. Oh, and there is an 80% chance of rain with no top. I guess I'm not going to be out. This is my second lap. I just decided to drive the car a little. I'll do a walk around while I'm out with the car. How's that sound? Yeah, it'll look better with white walls, no doubt. And I haven't put the hubcap back on yet either. I want to bend the tabs out on it. Really runs sweet. That bumper looks amazing. Yeah, I've been waiting to put the script and the lettering on until I wheel the paint out. The moldings I can put on because I don't need the buff down there, but right in that area I would like the buff, and where those emblems, 352 emblems, go on. Let me pop up the hood. Yeah, you get to see it in some daylight now instead of fluorescent lighting. There's still a hole in the firewall, and when I fix this wing window bit here, that's one of the other. I'm going to glue some sheet metal with that panel adhesive inside so it looks like an original knockout. Fit a piece, attach it to some sheet metal and fit it. So I want it to totally look like a knockout. But yeah, she's running good. Smooth as glass. There's the hubcap. I think that's a 66 Chrysler in the next lane to the left. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get up to them. I don't want to follow that other car too close, but really a clean car. Really beautiful. Needs to, his one bulb is in incorrectly on his taillight. Yeah, I gotta really watch my speed in the car. I keep creeping up to 60. This thing has no problem wanting to go 70, 75 miles an hour. It just loves to cruise. I had a nice cruise in it. Get it home before it starts raining. Yeah, I burned some gas in the car today, and going to take it home and put it in the garage. It's running absolutely perfect. Runs and drives like a brand new car now. It's going to have 77,162 on the odometer here pretty soon, so I put like 51 miles on it. Yeah, it was a pleasure to drive it without a surging engine or any engine performance issues. This is going to wrap up the video. If you like my video, hit the like button. It'll definitely help with some more work on the car, getting more views and whatnot. And if you like my channel, want to see this old car finished up, the dash all looking pretty again, and you know, everything done up nice, new top, hit that 348 engine icon and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching my videos.